For the last 24 hours, it has done nothing but absolutely bucket down. That does now mean that the roads are rather saturated with water and we've got some nice puddles. So I'm going to use that to my advantage and I'm going to go and do some water training with my water-phobic horse. What do you reckon, Charlie? We'll go through that little puddle? We shall see. So water-phobic's maybe a little bit strong, but Charlie isn't great with water. We spent a good 20 to 30 minutes at Elan Valley trying to get him through a stream crossing, which obviously for an endurance ride is not great, and if I want to do cross-country with him next year, also not great. Charlie will go through water, but he is very much of the sort that if he can see there is a way around the water, he will not go through it. He doesn't understand why he has to go through it and can't go around it, which was the problem we had at Elan Valley because there was almost a big gap either side. But what he didn't know and that we did is that it was a bog either side. So he would have just disappeared in the mud. So he had to go through the stream. And it's really frustrating because half an hour, 40 minutes before that, he walked straight through a crossing with no hesitation because it was enclosed. So he needs to kind of learn that sometimes you've just got to go through it even though you might think there's a better way. Thought, while it's quite wet and soggy, before it gets too bad, there are a few routes around here that do get quite flooded before it absolutely hammers down again. And go grab him and we shall go and get splashing into the puddles. Just to kind of show how much rain we've had, this bucket was empty yesterday and that's, well, quite a lot of water. Now obviously this isn't the only day that I'll be doing this with him. Where have you gone? Good boy. And I will make the most of when it's been wet, and you know, this is just day one basically, but it will just show you what I'm going to kind of do with him to hopefully help long term, and then maybe next month I'll do it again and you can catch up and see where we are. Hopefully it'll be better. I'm not going to expect too much today, but I have a few aims. Just go from there. He's going to be very different to other horses and it takes him as long as it takes. You know, I want him to be confident going into water and happy to do it, not feeling like he's got to do it because there's no other option and he's being forced.
So firstly, sorry for putting this in the most stupid place ever. It was the only place I could think to put it that it wouldn't get potentially run over if a car came past. But this was the first puddle that we came across on our little hack. It wasn't the most ideal or in the most ideal place, but it was a good start. It was quite a bit deeper than I expected, and that kind of made things difficult as well because I couldn't actually go in there properly. Charlie was allowed to stop and look. He didn't have to go straight in, but he wasn't allowed to go sideways or walk backwards. So anytime he took a step forward towards the puddle, I would click, and I did have treats with me to give him his reward, but he didn't want to eat them, so I was just letting him have a pick of grass on the side instead. You can see a couple of times he goes to walk up on the bank, which is something else that he has quite a habit of doing to avoid getting in the puddle. He was quite happy to have a little bit of a nose in there and to kind of stick his nose in and have a look and check it out, but overall he wasn't as bad as I expected him to be on that one, and although it wasn't the best puddle to start with, it kind of gave me an idea of how he was going to be for the rest of the session.
Thanks, Charlie. So he's decided he doesn't want to eat any of the treats. Quite happy to have the grass though, so that's fine. That was a lot deeper than I expected. I haven't got proper wellies on, but we got front feet in. It's not really in the best place, but that is a good start. Sure, I can hear a car. Yeah, he has also kindly covered me in mud because he stuck his nose in it and then wiped it all over me. So we're heading down to the next bit that is, I don't think, as deep, and it covers the road a little bit more, so it's not just in a corner like that, so that is better suited to him anyway. I only stopped on that one because it was at a lay-by, so I had somewhere I could ditch the camera and somewhere that if I needed to we could just tuck in out the way and it wasn't going to cause too many problems. There's sheep. Come on. On to the next one. I can see the puddle. Considering all the rain we had, it's not as big as it has been.
That's what she said.
So another stupid camera angle. I'm sorry, I didn't have the right stuff with me really to kind of put my camera down, but as you can see there's quite a bit of water on the right hand side and a little bit of dry tarmac in the middle, so we just start by walking him down the middle bit, and then although you can't see us here, you can actually just hear him in the water already. So with me on this side and kind of walking on the verge, he was a lot happier to go straight in. So my positioning was quite important for him, which is interesting. But what you'll see is every time we do a couple of steps in the water, I stop and I am actually clicking, not that you can necessarily hear it, but I am, and I would give him a treat then, or like I would pick him some grass, and eventually I was just letting him pick his own grass. Like I said earlier, he didn't want to take the treats off me for some reason, but was quite happy to eat the grass, so that's fine, he was still getting a reward. But I was stopping and starting because I don't want him to rush in or out of it. I want him to be quite happy in there, which as you can see he is. He wasn't worried about being in the water. And this just kind of made him a bit more confident throughout really. And you'll see when we go back the other way that he was a bit more cautious with me on the other side and effectively in the middle of the water. Even though he walks through it quite nicely, he wants to kind of swing his quarters out so they're not stood in the water either. So that's something to work on, because ideally in the long run I want him to walk through the water as if there is no water there, like he's just walking on the road as he would do normally. So he's not allowed to go backwards. He doesn't have to walk, but I would like him to not sidestep. But when he does, it's not the end of the world. Just kind of ask him to come forward again in whatever way I can. So like there, I step up on the bank instead and he tries to join me. But I just want him to move into the puddle in a way that he's comfortable with. So walking with me on the other side of the verge, he wasn't as happy with for whatever reason. So we just went with it and I switched sides and went back up on there. He's still trying to avoid going in the puddle sometimes and trying to get up on the verge, but that'll come with time. I mean, he's not doing anything wrong, he's just trying to be clever. Why should he get his feet wet when he doesn't need to? And that is his biggest issue. It is always, why do I need to do this? And I don't have a problem with that, but at the same time I do need him to kind of just go where I ask him to, so that stuff like this isn't an issue in the future. But to be honest, I was really pleased with this. The water goes on quite a long way, so we go back and forward a few times, just repeating what we've done basically. And you know, he has a little look in the water, he has a little play with it, he's not scared of the water, which is really nice. And we can just kind of plod our way back and forward and get him comfortable and confident with it. And by marking and rewarding when he's kind of doing the right thing, which is either taking a step or maybe just getting all 4 feet in, or even just getting 1 foot in, and I let him have a little bit of grass, I'm kind of bridging the two things, that being in the water equals getting some kind of reward. And you can see there then he's quite happy to come over and walk in the other puddle, even though we haven't actually done any practice with that one yet, and that is what I want to kind of build up to. But yeah, the swinging of the quarters, he's definitely more prone to doing that when I'm not on the verge side of the puddle for some reason. He's better with me stood in front of him, but obviously my boots weren't quite as long as I needed them to be for the depth of the water, so I kind of avoided that, and I don't want him to walk on top of me. But yeah, you can definitely see the difference between the two sides, so that is something else that we definitely need to work on. But yeah, I really thought he would just point blank refuse to get in any part of any water today, so the fact that he was quite happy to do this was a massive tick.
Good boy. Good boy, right, have a good lunch. What do you reckon, Charlie? We go through that little puddle? What do you think? We shall see. We'll just keep walking like there's nothing there. I know there's a big puddle in there, but this is the one I want you to go through. Good boy. Well done. Kind of. Good boy. Good boy. Oh. Good boy. Oh no, he's ruined the puddle. What do you think of this one? Steady. It's okay, you can have a sniff, just don't wipe it on me. Good. Oh wow, well done. Good boy. You want to do the last bit? Good boy, you're so clever. I would give you a treat, but you're not eating them. Our last puddle before you get home. Come on. Oh, good boy. Go straight now. Well, I'll take it. Good boy. So I'm not stupid enough to say that we've cracked it, because we absolutely haven't. But for a first go, that was pretty good. I was actually kind of hoping he would be worse. Ooh. So that I could kind of, when you have a snack, so I could kind of go through what I would do with him if he was like he was at Elan Valley, where he was trying to turn around, he was pulling away, you know, threatening to go up in the air, because he was overstimulated and he was stressed, and he's not today. That made life a little bit easier, and so he was happier to go in it. But you know, he's still a little bit evasive. I want him to get to the point where if there's a puddle in front of him, he just goes through it like there's nothing there. And so we've got one more to do, which is one in our field that is pretty much there throughout the whole of the winter now, to varying levels of fullness. It doesn't actually look very full at the moment, but I think it's the one that best represents kind of what he would be expected to do for cross country, in the sense of it's in the middle of a field, he can easily go around the edge, but he needs to know that that is the route he has to take. So actually, it not being so full today is probably not a bad thing. So let's head over and see what we can do. Yeah, it's proper piddly today, but that's fine.
So I won't subject you to any more very, very noisy wind or any more captions. So like I said, this is probably the most difficult of the water because it is completely open, but I think it's quite similar to what you would get on a cross-country course, obviously in a much, much smaller scale at the moment, although it was fairly deep. But again, similarly, I don't mind him kind of saying no, but I would like him to at least keep facing me. And yeah, even on that first go, as soon as I went through it, he was like, yeah, sure, I'll follow you. Which, if I'd have done this one to start with, I don't think we'd have got that. And even then, absolutely fine, walked straight through it, and then I click him, and his reward is to have a little graze, because again, he still won't eat the treats. But yeah, this went so much better than I thought. And even there where he stops and has a little look, I put a tiny bit of pressure on him, and then just ask him to come back where he was stood. And I'm kind of just still working out how I'm going to get through without getting soaked. And as soon as I start to kind of move, he goes, oh yeah, okay, I'll think about coming with you. So I think if I can sort my boots out for a start, so that I don't have to be so picky about where I'm walking, then this is just going to come on leaps and bounds, and his confidence is going to grow and grow and grow, which is exactly what we want.
Oh, there you have it. See, I said he wasn't actually really waterphobic. He's, you know when they say like dogs have selective hearing? He has like selective waterphobia, which is very frustrating actually, because I would feel really confident now taking him on a ride that had water in it, or cross-country training for water, and he probably then would go through it. So we will carry on doing our training. I've got some other places with different types of water to go and look at when it's maybe a bit wetter than it is, but hopefully maybe see in 6 weeks time for a water update. What a good boy, well done.